Conflicts are common in Hollywood, and the drama that occurs in the background. But when it in reference to Keanu Reeves, that's almost unknown. He has made a name for himself as among the most kind and capable, the most popular stars in the industry, are not just for his expertise but also for his kindness on and offset. Yet Keanu is not without his limitations. During his professional life, there have been a performer who left a lasting impression, whether due to imaginative an imbalance, a tense moment, or whatever more confidential than what Reeves has subtly decided not to work with them. Again, who is this entertainer and what truly occurred between them? The answer could take you by surprise with the childhood difficulties you didn't know existed. Keanu Reeves has always been one of Hollywood's most admired stars, not just for his movies, but considering his character. He's the occasional star who feels like an atypical individual who rides the subway, makes charity contributions without putting on a performance, and having more than one. A few little examples that have evolved into online myths. But the real reason, his admiration extends beyond charity. The truth is that in spite of everything that has happened to him, they were born in Beirut and stayed there. In Lebanon, Keanu's solid circumstances were anything but during his childhood. His mother, Patricia, worked as a costume designer and performer, while his father, Samuel, worked as a geologist. He was descended from both English and Chinese, Portuguese, and Hawaiian heritage. However, his father did not attend. Keanu was just 3 years old a long time ago. Following Samuel's departure from home, Patricia was abandoned to raise him and his younger sister. On her own life became a whirlwind of initially visits Australia, then New York City, followed by Toronto. It was where Keanu spent much of his formative years. His mother was married more than once, bringing multiple people in and out of the people in his life, including the exposure in the field of entertainment would eventually affect his destiny. But right then, Keanu wasn't exactly the model. He attended several different schools as a student, experienced dyslexia, and even got dismissed from the school of Etobicoke. He eventually admitted that he was also in the arts, agitated and outspoken regarding the structured environment of school. Thus, he made the bold decision to leave everything to focus on acting. But fate had other plans. He had to depart because of an injury. The sport is pushing him back into acting. What might have been a catastrophic loss turned out to be a crucial moment. Even one of his first jobs wasn't. It was a typical acting position as a presenter of the kids program Going Amazing on Canadian TV Corporation. It was quick for him to started taking on small-scale acting roles, includes a spot on the Canadian series. The act of hanging in that performance becomes a launching pad. Forum for new artists in Toronto, and Keanu was one among the many individuals who were given their start there. His initial segment was a homeless individual who showed up at a spot asking where the towels came from. Jobs kept coming in there, even though they constituted a small national Coca-Cola corporation. Commercial raised his profile, and he was making himself known little by bit. For himself, the awful loss that Keanu Reeves was shaken when he arrived. Hollywood, which is only 20 years old, is full of motivation and readiness to work for his objectives, but going into the field wasn't straightforward, especially at a time when Hollywood was managed by a rigid mechanism that favored a specific kind of image. There was pressure on him to change immediately. Of the most crucial elements of his identification, his name, and the opinions of his agents, Keanu Reeves' voice was excessively ethnic and may limit his opportunities. They asserted that he required a new name to land, auditions, and he made a brief effort to. He tried a few different names for it. Chuck and Paige Templeton III. For example, even selecting Casey Reeves to be her companion for it never seemed exactly right, but it was brief. Upon entering the audition space, he felt obliged to declare himself to be. Anyway, Keanu finally threw away the whole idea while being true to his name and remaining silent throughout the procedure. Opposing the biases of the industry had circumstances been different, Hollywood might never had seen Reeves in The Matrix's John Wick or Constantine. Yet he refused to back down. and that decision ultimately turned out to be successful in his initial official screen in support of Appeared in 1985, and had a little part in the television film Letting Go. He played stereotypical teen number one. It was only a blink. You'll miss it role, but it was his. He stepped in the door without hesitation, progressing and obtaining a more significant role the same year, a young blood hockey game scenario involving Rob Lowe and Patrick Swayze. That role was a natural fit for Reeves, who had played hockey when they were younger, and it allowed him to make progress in the field. For the majority of the 1980s, Keanu Reeves was putting a lot of effort into his acting career, embracing whatever portions were shown to him, advertisements, movies, TV series, and sometimes big screen. Premiere, his first noteworthy role showed up in A Dangerous Relationship, but it was the year that everything changed. Changed in 1989, he was assigned the position that would bring fame to Ted Theodore Logan. In Bill and Ted's Great Adventure, he was an excellent match for the role, and viewers adored him, and the film became a critical success. At the box office, leading to a follow-up, years later, The Fictional Voyage of Bill and Ted failed to attain the same level of achievement. However, it did draw a good number of people. But wealth does not mean that life was all about while filming Smooth Sailing in 1989. He displayed several parenthood on-screen kisses with the charming Martha Plimpton, was then witnessing River Phoenix. At the time, there was no controversy, but Phoenix received that in reality. It was merely a requirement of the position. Instead of causing conflict, the two actors a relationship that would endure more robust in the years to come. They worked together on I Love You to Death in 1990. In addition to Again in My Own, the year following that second, Idaho, the photo of Phoenix almost didn't happen. Even though his agent didn't want him anywhere near a street story hustlers and refused to let him see the director of the screenplay, Gus Vannon, knew the only someone capable of convincing Phoenix to pretend to be Reeves himself. So it was Reeves who did what only he would, climbed atop his 1974 Norton Commando on a motorcycle in Toronto and made 300 miles traveling directly to Florida, where Phoenix's family owned a ranch when he was growing up. As he got there, he handed up the script, and after reading it, Phoenix agreed to the work, but only because Reeves promised to participate in it as well. Their partnership enabled them to get closer. They would ride a long motorcycle, rides with one another, including one unique travel to Key West to attend a performance. Both were on the path to becoming famous in Hollywood stars, but life had different plans. In 1993, Reeves made another lasting discovery. On the speed set, he and his friend, in little time, Sandra Bullock, made friends with. They remained pals even after more, so when Bullock's close friend, Phoenix, started dating Samantha Mattis, then everything changed in October. Phoenix died after overdosing outside at the West Hollywood nightclub. He was just 23. Bullock later recalled how profoundly Reeves, although he was a private person, this was something he could not hide. It was then that Reeves took a risk with his career, that he nearly lost at Fox Studios' thoughts for a faster sequel. But he decided against it. In the end, the first film had been an enormous hit, but Reeves wasn't interested. On the way back, the decision didn't sit in accordance with the studio, and they supposedly put him on a blacklist as a punishment. Bullock returned for the cruise of Speed 2. Authority, alongside Jason Patric, and meanwhile, Willem Dafoe Reeves made the decision to perform Hamlet on a stage in Winnipeg. Instead, it turned out to be a smart choice. The follow-up was a total flop, making only $64.5 million in contrast to an enormous budget. Following a negative 4% rating on Rotten at the moment, Tomatoes has it set as one of, thankfully, the worst SE equivalents ever made. Reeves wasn't given that by Fox Studios. Against him, the eternal anguish of Keanu Reeves. Never in 1998. Keanu Reeves seemed to become better. Have it all. His career was destined to launch a science fiction action movie that would alter the classification he plays bass for Dogstar, a rock band. Additionally, he had just met someone who appeared to be a perfect fit, former actress Jennifer Sim. The aide to David Lynch had attended the gathering with his band, and they clicked right away. A few months later, their brief romance became exciting when Sim got pregnant. They were excited and ready to welcome their daughter, but only in the world sad things that happened while everything seemed perfect on Christmas Eve. 1999, Sim 8 became popular. Was months pregnant when she gave birth to a stillborn child. When the newborn was destroyed, the ensuing sorrow was incomprehensible, become too much to bear. Jointly, and within a few weeks, there following the breakup, Reeves carried, he never really recovered from the loss. Less than 2 years later, it took place. April 2001 was a heartbreaking month for Sim. Attended the party of Marilyn Manson. A friend took her home via car, safely, while it's unclear why. She thereafter decided to drive. Again, she never went back to the driving while intoxicated, and having a party, she lost control of her car and crashed. The collision with 3 parked vehicles, she was flung from the automobile and died. This time, the mention of Reeves suggests once more that it seemed strange somehow. He'd outlived others. The response was quick and active social media burst with outrage from fans and other well-known individuals rushing to Reeves. The defense of one critic didn't hold back, asserting that Perry's book was damaged marketing overnight because of the arrival of By Default. Reeves was a deal breaker. The comments were described as direct by others, cruel, particularly when you are well informed. Reeves has experienced several. Although Perry had personal complaints, others thought he had just said Reeves' name as a straightforward joke that doesn't take into how agonizing it would be to confront harsh condemnation for comments made toward Reeves. In his autobiography, Perry admitted that he had made a speech mistake at the Los Angeles. His event was called the Times Festival of Books. Remarks that are unkind and stupid, and promised to remove any mention of Reeves in the future. He explained his book's copies by saying, in the past, they lived on the same street, and that he had previously apologized in public. If he ever came across Reeves, he said, he would remember to offer an apology in person as well. Later, Perry informed the Deadline that, I have nothing against Reeves, he remarked. It was a random name he had picked. Personally, a great admirer of the artist and asserting that he should have adopted his own name instead. Yet many people agree with that explanation. Didn't make sense. And Reeves wasn't just he had been near a star at random. Companions of River Phoenix, including earlier, Perry Reeves had conversations about the degree to which he still lost the statement that Phoenix gave to Esquire, stating, he hated talking about him in the Reeves. Phoenix continued to use the past tense as the existence of a very bright and imaginative individual, felt deeply sad for Perry, who might have been. He tried to make a joke by showing up in the After All. Caustic comedy was popular in the 1990s, was common, but times have changed. Jokes that are cruel don't get you as they previously did. That kind of laughter is most commonly associated with right-wing provocateurs or comedians, trying to force oneself to return to relevance of Perry's malicious intent. Whatever the case, he quickly realized one thing. Insulting Keanu Reeves on the internet, the most well-known individuals were, nothing will ever go as planned. Reeves, for his part, never responded to the public, claiming his usual reserved manner and permitting without a word. The argument is over. At the age of 54, Perry's life was sadly cut short, and even though the specific cause of death was investigations into his issues are ongoing, is widely acknowledged by the public as his passing went viral on the internet, replied. In all the ways it does, tributes poured in. However, the drawbacks of online culture conspiracy theories showed up, and some people even pulled once more. Reeves's name is mentioned. But whatever people's opinions were about, Perry's mistakes made it hard to ignore his impact on TV. Excellent humor, but Keanu Reeves's explanation for not like working with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, played by Keanu Reeves, doesn't hesitate about the roles that he is excited about alarming. Yet if nothing grabs he walks really well. With curiosity. He doesn't seek notoriety, fortune, or notoriety, and he certainly doesn't take roles to keep his career going. If, in any case, he would be just as happy, disappearing behind the camera to direct, perhaps leaving Hollywood completely. As a group, Reeves has never given much attention to he is equally likely to accept the salary. A modestly funded movie where he expects as much as he does to turn down a well-liked sequel in case the script doesn't. He has, in my opinion, been rejected more. Chances that the majority of people are not aware of, sometimes for reasons that make things amazing seem reasonable, and sometimes because he can be. That's part of it, but it's also his worst critic. Though he admires him, he's not. In an effort to please everyone, he follows his inclinations, even if it means making up for them, missed chances in the future. One of the Reeves has consistently wanted to work with was Al Pacino, who wanted it so badly that when the studios couldn't afford Pacino as the devil's advocate, Reeves took he shaved to make it happen because of the pay cut. Many $1 million out of his salary. Therefore, the Pacino might be chosen for the role alongside, but there may have been more than just him. Decision, rather than just worship for a legend of Hollywood. 2 years earlier, Reeves had the chance to perform with Pacino in the film Heat, which starred Robert. Among the most watched movies was Direct of the decade. But Reeves refused, among the most surprising choices of his early career years, when he was just departing from Bram Stoker's Dracula and had gained a great deal of fame with Speed. Most actors playing his part would have jumped at the opportunity, but Reeves had other options. Plans. Instead of gazing into the heat, he took a month, performing as Hamlet on stage in Manitoba, Canada, the theater that Reeves made the decision on his own. He had already committed to the production of Preheat. Additionally was casting, and by the time his speed of the filming in 1993, he studied Shakespeare in between takes. It wasn't just a phase. He had either helped Kenneth or Branagh's Much Ado About. Nothing is no exception. That year, Speed started shooting, and his passion Shakespeare was formerly very important to Reeves. Described Shakespeare's works as the appearance of a code, something that, upon release of breath and passion, became a powerful force, while simultaneously letting go of his passion for. It wasn't brand new either. A few years ago, he and his close friend River Phoenix had ever talked about performing Shakespeare, and they had plans to Romeo and Juliet or A Dream of Midsummer Juliet, with Phoenix joking that he wanted to play Juliet. But that dream was never realized. Transpired. Phoenix passed away, and maybe that's why Reeves was drawn to approach Shakespeare in that. Maybe he saw something in those plays that reminded him of his connection without a connection with Phoenix that might have produced renowned performances if the result had been different. And maybe he realized when he turned Heat away, the intimacy between Pacino and Dyro, and thought of his friendship with Phoenix might have if life had transpired in a different way. But who knows? What he truly considered, if Reeves took the stance of the devil's advocate to make up for the absence of warmth, anyone's guess. But in the end, he got what he wanted to get the chance to work with Pacino. The production wasn't perfect. In spite of the fact that there were several problems with the termination of staff members. Considering the delays mentioned by Pacino's frequent, even Reeves struggled with tardiness. The function and the director weren't quite wellick, despite the chaotic nature of the film made 153. In contrast, Heat is pulled in by 1,187.4. A million might look like this on paper. Although Reeves made a bad choice, he never doubted his decision. If regardless, he proved that his instincts were worth attempting. Believing in his Hamlet performance was given positive reviews, and considering the difficulty of that task, ultimately, that is a significant achievement. He went about his daily business as usual, own path. No matter where it led, Keanu Reeves keeps reinventing his line of work. Keanu Reeves turned 60 on September 2nd, 2024, and you'd be surprised just by, when you look at him, he still has that timeless charm, laid-back charm, and if history is to be trusted, anything that remains unchanged, he won't even slow down soon. Vocabulary, despite the fact that many people's, as he ages, Reeves is taking things easy. juggling more chores and being busier than ever, then the majority of music still has a big impact on his life, and he continues to play with Dogstar, the band he's been playing with. As the 990s writing is still another forthcoming novels that showcase creative expressiveness from his work, and of course, there's pretending to be his first love. He made the leap from cinema to TV years ago, although Heste's dedicated to the minor screen between 2016 and 2018. He returned on TV as Texan Swedish Dixon Edition 2. In 2024, he appeared in the second season of Historical End of the World, but with respect to commemorate his 60th birthday, he kept simple stuff. No lavish gatherings, a good woodsy Hollywood show dinner at a place with a lot of Italian food form, but he felt comfortable creating the wonderful evening for everyone else. The staff of the restaurant spent a minute with, he posed for pictures with one of the most realistic actors in the film industry. For Keanu Reeves, everything is just I appreciate. You watching, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Subscribe if you enjoyed it. Make a comment and turn on post notifications to stay up to date on our most recent content.